Duncan back to Roberts now. Duncan out on top. Beasley score! The Storm win the Riley Cup!
I'm a hard-working man. I wear a steel hard hat. I can ride rope, a hammer and paint, do things with my hands that most men can't. I can't get ahead no matter how hard I try. I'm getting really good at barely getting by. Got everything I own by the sweat of my brow. From my four-wheel drive to my cowboy boots, I owe it all to my blue-collar roots. Feel like I'm working overtime on a runaway train. I got to bust loose from this ball and chain. I'm a hard-working man. I got it all on the line for a piece of the promised land. And I'm burning my candle at both ends. About the only way to keep the fire going is to outrun the wind.
Judson back out front. Duncan backhand score! Duncan again on a breakaway. Duncan top shelf score!
Come Friday night, I like to party hard. I carry on with the Cadillac cutie, spend my whole week's pay on some weekend beauty. Come Monday morning, I'm the first to arrive. I ain't nothing but business, y'all, from 9 to 5. I'm a hard-working man. I got it all on the line for a piece of the promised land. And I'm burning my candle at both ends. That's the only way to keep the fire going is to outrun the wind. I can't wait to get up in the morning and do it all over again. Well, I'm a hard-living, hard-working man.
Dear Diary, well, it's opening night, and the Toledo Storm begin their second season in the East Coast Hockey League. As the banners to the Brabham Cup and the Western Division champions are raised tonight, the only goal for the year is to win it all and bring home the Riley Cup. The sports arena was electric as the Nashville Knights were the opening night guests. And after goals by Deasley, Jablonski, and Stone, the Knights didn't know what hit them as the Storm cruised to an 11-2 opening night win. Sunday, with the Butterflies from opening night long gone, the Louisville IceHawks came to visit. And as on opening night, the Storm weren't gracious hosts as the offense was spearheaded by Ian Duncan's 2 goals. Flawless net minding from Scott King overshadowed the offensive output as he recorded the Storm's second ever shutout, thawing the IceHawks 8-0. The early season homestand finished with a visit by the Riley Ice Caps. While the Storm received a 2-goal performance from Jeff Jablonski, the Ice Caps took 2 points in a shootout win. A 5-game road swing saw the Storm travel to Dayton, Birmingham, Knoxville, Louisville, and Nashville. On their return home, the Storm saw themselves with a 3-1-1 road record and on top in the Western Division. November came with the Storm battling for momentum going into the second month of the season, and Birmingham wasn't fighting fair. With the Storm trailing 3-1, Chris McSorley reached into his bag of tricks and asked for a measurement of the stick twice. And an Ian Duncan penalty shot late in the third period tied the score at 4, and the Storm pulled out a 5-4 overtime victory. An Ian Duncan hat-trick was featured in a victory over Greensboro, but a Justin Morrison hat-trick was overshadowed by a Louisville shootout win. Columbus put a chill on the Storm's final game in their homestand, defeating the Storm 4-2 and setting up a rematch in the state capitol. The second meeting between these two clubs was a game that neither club would soon forget. A total of 301 penalty minutes were whistled in the game, along with 10 game misconducts and 2 gross misconducts. For the brawl, each team was slapped $5,000 and each coach $1,000. Greg Pahalski picked up a 3-game suspension, while chill forward Barry Drager was handed a 4-gamer. When the dust settled, Columbus skated away with a 5-2 victory. 2 nights later, the Storm continued their slide in Dayton's Hara Arena, dropping one to the Bombers 5-3. Then when they returned home, they were victims of the Erie Panthers, losing by their largest margin of the year, 7-3. The contest tagged the rematch between the Chill and the Storm turned out to be a hard-fought battle, with the Storm pulling out a 5-4 win over the Chill, snapping Toledo's 5-game winless streak. A road victory in Columbus and a home win against Dayton extended the Storm's winning streak to 3, as Toledo would face the Bombers 3 times in 3 nights. The weekend series would see the Storm drop 2 close ones in the shootout. The Storm began the month of December with 2 losses to Birmingham and Erie before returning home and defeating the Bulls 4-3 as 4 different Storm scorers found the net. A tight victory over Richmond and a loss to the Panthers had Chris McSorley looking for a way to motivate his team with a change in color. Nashville would come to Toledo seeing red. The Storm and Scott King would record their 2nd shutout of the season, stopping the Knights 6-zip. The night would be filled with bumps and bruises and some hard-fought moments. The offense was still firing the next night, and so were the punches as the Storm swept the Knights 10-3. The final home game of '92 saw the Storm looking for an offensive spark, and with Toledo trailing, Chris McSorley found the fire for his team before he left the game, and they responded with a 7-6 win. The Storm would finish the year on the road and atop the Western Division.
I'd like to say this is the tip of the week, but it really isn't. We're going to show you the infamous toe drag with Rick Corvo and Andy Suey. Since this guy's come to town, he's bothered me with this toe drag that he's going to try to show you people. I've insisted he doesn't do it, but he's going to show you. The players at Toledo Storm would like to show all you young players out there what not to do during a game. I'm going to turn things over to Rick Corvo. He's going to show all you guys the infamous toe drag.
Hi, for all you young forwards out there, the most easy and entertaining way to make a defenseman look stupid is a move called the toe drag. The first thing about a toe drag is you have to have a little cover to keep your toe warm. Now it is warm for the big move called the toe drag. There are 3 steps to a good toe drag. 1, get the defenseman leaning to the left side, or if you're a right-handed shot, to the right side. 2, look for the triangle between his stick and his feet. And 3, always keep your eye on the puck. And here's the toe drag. Okay, the first thing you want to do is get the defenseman leaning, bring it out wide. 2nd, pull it in, look for the triangle, he's over there. 3rd, keep your eye on the puck and go around him. First thing you want to do is get the defenseman leaning, bring it out wide. 2nd, pull it in. Look for the triangle, he's over there. 3rd, keep your eye on the puck and go around him.
All right, now here's a tip for all you young defensemen. If anybody such as Jose even tries to attempt a toe drag move like that, the proper thing to do is keep him on your inside shoulder, step up into him, and give him a good view of the rafters. How's with you from down there, Jose?
That's not supposed to happen.
Smile, you're on the camera too.
Hey, KB.
Toledo would start the new year by discovering a way to win in Erie, as Bruce McDonald led Toledo with a pair of goals on the night. The fight for supremacy in the ECHL continued as the Storm took on the Thunderbirds, and it would be no contest as Jeff Jablonski and Ian Duncan both scored twice as the Storm ripped the T-Birds 7-2. Victories over Dayton and Columbus extended the Storm's winning streak to 5. Next up were the Nashville Knights, and it also marked the return of Brent Saperja to the sports arena. 2 goals by the former Storm player and a hat trick by Trevor Job were too much for Toledo as Nashville pulled out a 6-5 win. Toledo would rattle off 3 straight wins with victories over Erie, Birmingham, and returning the favor to Nashville. Shootout losses to the Chill and the Bombers would be the start of a 4-game winless streak that would end with back-to-back wins in Knoxville.
I'd like to invite everybody back for the tip of the week, but I don't think that's going to happen this week. For all you fans who enjoy seeing one of our players score a goal, I think the most exciting part is to see what the surprised look in his face is after. The players all got together and decided the disgrace of the week, the tip of the week, was going to have everybody score their quick goal on Scotty King here and show you what they do and what they name their little dance afterwards. Joining me now, here are the players of Toledo Storm.
My name is Alex Roberts, defenseman of Toledo Storm, and after I score a goal, I like to do the Chichi Rodriguez.
My name is Mark Deasley, and if I ever score again, this is what I'm going to do. It's called the Hail Irwin. And if I ever score again, this is what I'm going to do. It's called the Hail Irwin.
King's going to try here.
Hi, my name is Alex Hicks. When I score a goal, I like to churn some butter.
My name is Rick Judson. The next time I score, I'm going to do a Love Boat Isaac.
If I ever score again, this is what I'm going to do. It's called the Hail Irwin.
On those rare occasions when I score 3 goals or more in a game, I like to do the taxi commercial. Alex Hicks, only choice is the Toledo Storm.
Well, last week I'm sure all you people had a great deal of enjoyment out of watching what our players do after they score a goal. Just far too much footage to be able to show all in one show, so stay tuned. This is part 2 of the Toledo Storm dance.
Hi, I'm Rick Corvo, defenseman with the Toledo Storm. When I score, I like to go up to the fans and ask them if they want more.
My name is Bruce McDonald, and if I ever do score, I'm going to do the flying arrow.
Hi, I'm Daryl. Okay. Hi, I'm Daryl from the Toledo Storm, and when I score a goal, I like to get the referee's attention and make sure that I get the goal.
Hey, rep, 2-3, rep, 2-3.
I'm John Johnson from the Toledo Storm. After I score a goal, I like to do the Tiger Williams / Ty Domi stick ride.
Since I score so many goals, I got to have more than one dance. So this time I'm going to shoot some skeet. All right, here we go.
All right, Alex Hicks back again because I score so many goals. They just keep making me do these things. You know, I can have a new one every night. So here's another one. It's called UMTV Raps. Hi, my name's Scott King, goaltender of the Toledo Storm. And if I ever win a shootout, even though I'm 0-15 this year, if I ever win one, this is what I'll do.
The month of February would start with the final meeting against Columbus, and the Storm would record their 4th win over the Chill, highlighted by a 2-goal performance from Dan Weeb in the 4-1 win. A loss at Dayton would be the start of a 5-game skid for the Storm, their longest of the season. Toledo was looking for some Valentine Day magic against Knoxville to stop the slide. 4 different Storm players would light the lamp in a 4-1 win over the Cherokees. Victories over Dayton and Louisville were followed by the Storm's most productive period ever, and Roanoke didn't know what hit them, as Toledo found the net 7 times in the first period as the Storm coasted to a 10-1 win. An unexpected delay saw the Storm arrive in Johnstown just 20 minutes before the game, and Toledo never got in sync as the Chiefs sunk the Storm 5-3. An eerie loss would follow before the Chiefs visited the sports arena. 5 first-period goals led by Mark Deasley and Jim Birmingham were all the Storm needed as they skated off to an 8-1 drubbing. With the playoffs right around the corner, Toledo tuned it up with 5 games in March, 3 being on the road. The Storm would finish the regular season on a high note, taking the Western Division and owning a 3-game win streak going into the playoffs.
Uh-oh.
Wow! Yeah!
That's great. As here we go. First fight of the night. Alex Hicks along with the Sioux. Hicks with a right, another right. First on the night. Dewey will see it up. Score! Booth with a right, another right by Booth. He staggers them. As Beasley on the ice. Dewey with an uppercut. Another right by Dewey. Centering pass for Stone. Back shot and score! Derek Booth! And he's got Jablonski in the slot. Backhand shot and score! And here we go. Booth with a right, another right. Down goes the... Here we go. Here we go. I tell you what, Jeff, that's what the score is. Oh, my! Ian Duncan has Virtue. And Jerry Virtue bit off more than he can do here, Jeff. And a breakaway. Kozlowski shot and a save. In front of the net, in front of the goal, and Philippine. Just dropped Kovac, Jeff. And Andy Suey with a doubling right hand. Crawford Beasley with a right and another right. And Crawford outmatched this one is Beasley just pounding away on get an arm free. Philippine with a right and another right. Sends Rathbone to the ice. Here comes Taylor on a breakaway. Taylor backhand shot and a save. Up top for Dunk. Dunk with a drive. Goal!
The Storm began their playoffs on the right foot with a 6-3 win over Erie. Toledo jumped out quickly in the first and would never look back. 6 different Storm skaters would find the net in the win. The Storm did much the same in Game 2 and in the process coasted to a 5-2 win. Mark Deasley led the Storm with a pair of goals, but with 24 seconds remaining in the contest, the Panthers turned the game ugly as Greg Spenrath and Cam Brown started multiple fights, leading to multiple suspensions. Game 3 saw both teams skate shorthanded as the league handed down stiff suspensions for Game 2's altercations. The game would go back and forth with the score tied at 6 before the Panthers broke it open for a 9-6 win. With the thought of the series going to a 5th game, Toledo sucked it up and pulled away with a 6-2 win, taking the series 3-1. 5 different scorers found the net for Toledo, led by Dave Flanagan's 2-goal performance. What was supposed to be an offensive slugfest in the Western Conference Finals never materialized in Game 1 as the netminders took charge of the contest and the Storm skated away with a 3-1 win. Dave Flanagan's 5th goal of the playoffs broke the scoreless tie, and Andy Suey and Barry Potomski each lit the lamp. Toledo gained a 2-game advantage in the Western Conference Finals with a 7-4 win in Game 2. The Chief, Greg Pahalski, and Rick Corriveau tallied 2 goals apiece. Games 3 and 4 would shift to Nashville, and the Knights would even the series with back-to-back wins. Game 5 would see the Storm needing to win to maintain home ice advantage, and they came away with an impressive 8-2 thumping of the Knights. Ian Duncan picked up a hat trick and 2 assists in the contest, notching the first 5-point performance in Storm playoff history. The Storm wrapped up the series in Game 6, taking a 7-0 lead at one point as the Storm coasted to a 9-5 win, taking the series 4-2. The Storm were led by the Chief as he notched his first hat trick in the playoffs. The finals would feature the top 2 teams in the ECHL as the Storm opened up in Wheeling. Game 1 saw the T-Birds' Devin Edgerton open up the scoring just 58 seconds into the contest. However, the Chief would tally 2 before the period ended, giving the Storm its first 2-1 lead. The second period went back and forth, and Game 1 would prove to be a nail-biter going into the final period. A double minor penalty to Ian Duncan put the T-Birds on the power play, and Tim Tisdale didn't waste any time, putting the game winner home as the T-Birds took the opener 5-3. The Storm were looking to draw even in Game 2, but the T-Birds proved to be too much for the Storm as Wheeling skated away with a 7-3 victory. Devin Edgerton opened up the scoring for Wheeling, starting a 5-goal run for the T-Birds that the Storm just couldn't answer. With Toledo in their first must-win situation of the playoffs, the Storm were looking to keep their home playoff win streak intact. As with the first 2 contests, the Thunderbirds would score first. However, the Storm battled back to take a 1-goal lead for most of the game. Late in the third, with the score tied to 3, Alex Hicks found the net with the eventual game winner. Toledo had balanced scoring as 4 different players lit the lamp on the power play. The Storm would even things up in Game 4, holding on for a 7-5 win. Toledo scored the opening tally just 12 seconds into the game as Dan Weeb pulled the trigger and put the Storm on top. The T-Birds would keep it close as Toledo saw a pair of 3-goal leads whittled down to just 1. The Storm scored twice in the third period to finish off the T-Birds. 7 different Storm players scored as Toledo evened up the series 2 games apiece. The series shifted back to the Thunderdome for a crucial Game 5 where Wheeling was undefeated at 7-0. The first period would be a low-scoring affair with the T-Birds' Darren Schwartz scoring the only marker of the period. Toledo would eventually tie it up in the second on a Dan Weeb redirection. Tim Tisdale would answer for the Thunderbirds, poking the puck past Scott King. With just 14 ticks left in the clock, the Storm would work the power play to perfection as Mark Deasley would tie it at 2. The third period would be a defensive struggle until the 8:46 mark when the Chief drilled one in to give the Storm the go-ahead score. Rick Judson would find the open net with 4 seconds remaining to give the Storm their first lead of the series with a 4-2 win. Game 6 would prove to be one for the ages as the series shifted back to the Glass City. The Thunderbirds jumped out to a 2-goal lead as Joel Blaine and Devin Edgerton found the net early on in the first. Toledo would answer with a Jeff Jablonski goal as Wheeling led 2-1 heading into the first intermission. The Storm would score 4 times in the second and the T-Birds twice as Toledo led after 2, 5-4. In the third, Toledo would score again to take a 6-4 lead before Darren Schwartz would score to cut the Storm margin to 1. With time running out and Wheeling on the power play, Derek Booth would be called for the illegal stick, giving the T-Birds a 5-3 advantage. That's when Devin Edgerton would cash in a tying goal, sending the contest into overtime. The first overtime would remain scoreless thanks to some outstanding goaltending from Scott King and Francis Ouellette. Then, 40 seconds into the second overtime, Mark Deasley would poke in the game winner, giving Toledo its first ever Riley Cup championship.
Get here. It's 7 o'clock and I wanna rock. I wanna get a belly full of beer. My old man's drunker than a barrel full of monkeys, and my old lady, she don't care. My sister looks cute in her braces and boots and a handful of grease in her hair. Don't give us none of your aggravation. Had it with the discipline. Saturday night's alright for a fight. Get a little action in. I get a bottle's oil as a diesel train. Gonna set the dance alight. don't give a